Well, 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 listen carefully. This is not a metaphor, and it is not a story meant to entertain you. This is an explanation of something that already happened because of you. God did not observe calmly. He did not simply note it and move on. He reacted, forcefully, decisively, in a way so rare that the higher realms had to stop and pay attention. Your attitude triggered it, not an action you performed publicly, not something you posted, announced, or received praise for. Your attitude, the way you remained when no one was watching, the way you carried yourself when life gave you every excuse to collapse inward or turn poisonous. And when that reaction echoed through the unseen layers of existence, even Lucifer, the accuser, the one who always speaks, the one who never misses an opportunity to point out flaws, had nothing to say. That should tell you how serious this is. Right now, your mind might be trying to reject this. You might be thinking this message is exaggerated, symbolic, or meant for someone else. Someone more disciplined, someone more spiritual, someone more obvious. But that doubt is predictable. In fact, it's part of the pattern. People whose attitude carries real weight almost never recognize it themselves, because they weren't trying to become anything special. They were just trying to survive without losing themselves. And that's what makes this different. God was not reacting to achievement. He was reacting to consistency, to restraint, to a way of being that refused to rot, even when the environment demanded it. Here's what most people never understand. Actions are visible. Attitudes are not. Actions can be staged, rehearsed, and rewarded. Attitudes are revealed only over time, under pressure, when the audience disappears and the consequences remain. Anyone can do the right thing once. Very few people keep the same internal posture when betrayal repeats, when fairness disappears, when kindness stops paying off. That's where most people change. Quietly. They harden. They justify it. They call it maturity. But you didn't. And that refusal is what triggered attention far beyond the human level. You were tested in ways that didn't look heroic. No dramatic crossroads, no spotlight. Just repeated moments where becoming bitter would have been understandable. Moments where selfishness would have been efficient. Moments where indifference would have protected you. And every time, you chose not to cross that internal line. Not because you're unaware of how the world works, but because something in you refuses to become someone you can't respect. That internal refusal accumulates. It forms a signal. And that signal does not go unnoticed. This is where the reaction begins to make sense. God does not respond strongly to isolated goodness. Isolated goodness can be strategic. It can be transactional. It can be fear-based. But an attitude that remains intact after years of pressure sends a different message. It says this person is not operating on convenience. This person cannot be bought cheaply. This person's core does not shift easily. That kind of consistency forces a response, because it represents something that can't be easily manipulated or replaced. When that response moved through the higher realms, Lucifer attempted to do what he always does, to point, to accuse, to catalog flaws and contradictions. That's his function. That's his identity. He does not need to be invited. He shows up automatically wherever a human is evaluated. But this time, the usual arguments didn't land. Your past mistakes didn't disqualify you, because they didn't redefine you. Your imperfections didn't stick, because they didn't harden into character. The accusations had no traction, and when an accuser finds nothing that truly holds, he is neutralized. Understand the weight of that. You can argue against a single decision. You can dismantle a moment. You cannot dismantle years of internal consistency without lying. And that's where the reaction shifted. Your attitude created a form of credibility that even opposition could not undermine. Not because you are flawless, but because you are aligned. You correct yourself. You return to center. You don't abandon your values when they become inconvenient. That is far rarer than talent, intelligence, or visibility. This is also why your life attracted disproportionate resistance. Not because you were doing something wrong, but because your attitude made you difficult to corrupt. Pressure increases where corruption fails. The betrayals were not random. The misunderstandings were not accidents. They were attempts, subtle and direct, to see if you would finally give up your internal posture, to see if exhaustion would succeed where temptation did not. And every time you held your line, that signal intensified. You may not realize this, but your way of being has already protected you more than you know. Situations that should have derailed you dissolved unexpectedly. People who intended harm lost access to you. Opportunities that required you to compromise never fully materialized. You probably thought that was bad timing or bad luck. It wasn't. It was containment. Because once a person demonstrates an attitude that cannot be easily bent, the environment begins to adjust around them, whether consciously or not. There's also a reason you often felt watched, evaluated, or misunderstood without clear cause. Consistent integrity makes unstable structures uncomfortable. It exposes shortcuts. It reflects contradictions. People sense it before they can explain it. That's why some were drawn to you instinctively, while others reacted defensively without provocation. Your attitude functioned like a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see when they're reflected accurately. Now understand what that moment triggered going forward. When opposition fails to discredit someone internally, the strategy changes. Direct interference is reduced. Influence is rerouted. Protection increases without announcement. You are not being elevated for display. You are being preserved for impact. That's why your progress doesn't look loud. It looks steady, quietly positioned, gradually insulated, the kind of positioning that lasts. This also explains why you feel a growing discomfort with performative behavior, your own and others. You're being trained away from external validation, toward internal alignment, toward operating correctly even when no one confirms it. That shift is not accidental. It's preparation, because influence rooted in attitude, not image, operates differently. It spreads through example, not instruction, through presence, not persuasion. You don't need to announce who you are. You don't need to prove anything. The reaction has already occurred. The recalibration is already underway. Your responsibility now is simple but not easy. Do not abandon the attitude that triggered it. Not when pressure increases. Not when rewards are delayed. Not when you're tempted to believe it doesn't matter. It matters more than you can currently see. People around you will benefit from this without knowing why. Some will stabilize. Some will rethink choices. Some will find restraint where they previously had none. That's how this works. Attitudes don't preach. They influence environments silently and persistently. And when enough pressure meets enough consistency, entire trajectories change. You are not chosen because you are perfect. You are recognized because you are intact. And that distinction is everything. Maintain that posture. Protect it. Refine it. Because what reacted once will continue to respond, as long as you remain who you are when it costs you something. Your attitude did not go unnoticed. It never does. What happens after recognition is not celebration or comfort. It is pressure. Not loud pressure, not dramatic pressure, but the kind that watches quietly to see whether what was seen was permanent or temporary. Because recognition without verification means nothing. What reacted to you now observes how you move when nothing seems to be happening, when no one is applauding, when there is no immediate reward attached to restraint. This is the phase most people fail without realizing it. They think the moment of acknowledgement is the end. It isn't. It's the beginning of scrutiny. Once your attitude is identified as intact, the question becomes whether it can survive awareness. Many people hold themselves well under suffering, but collapse under validation. They loosen, they become careless. They start assuming protection means exemption. It doesn't. Protection exists to preserve integrity, not excuse erosion. Your environment may already feel different, not easier, but altered. Certain challenges reduce while others sharpen. This isn't contradiction, it's refinement. When brute resistance fails, precision replaces it. Situations will arise that don't look hostile, but subtly invite compromise. Not obvious wrongdoing, small rationalizations, minor adjustments, little internal bargains that promise relief without visible damage. This is where posture matters more than ever. You are being measured on consistency now, not reaction. Not how you behave when tested directly, but how you maintain orientation when things seem normal. When fatigue sets in, when patience is no longer fueled by urgency, when kindness feels routine instead of meaningful. That's where most people drift. They don't turn cruel, they just stop caring. And indifference corrodes integrity faster than anger ever could. This phase is quiet for a reason. Loud resistance strengthens resolve. Quiet temptation dissolves it. That's why nothing dramatic announces itself. No warning signs, no clear villains. Just moments where you are invited to lower standards slightly because it wouldn't really matter. Those moments accumulate. They don't destroy you instantly, they dilute you. And dilution is the one thing recognition does not tolerate. You may notice that certain people become less aligned with you. Conversations feel thinner. Shared values don't land the same way. This is not isolation as punishment. It is separation by frequency. When someone refuses to adjust their inner posture, their tolerance for misalignment decreases naturally. You are not being made superior. You are being made specific. Precision requires fewer attachments. At the same time, you might sense a strange stability forming beneath uncertainty. Even when outcomes aren't clear, there's a grounded feeling that you're not scrambling internally. That's not confidence in success. It's confidence in self. And that distinction changes how decisions are made. You stop choosing based on relief and start choosing based on alignment. That shift is subtle, but it alters trajectories permanently. Understand this clearly. What responded to your attitude is not interested in perfection. Perfection is brittle. It cracks under reality. Integrity bends without breaking. That's why your mistakes don't disqualify you, but your justifications could. Correction strengthens integrity. Excuses weaken it. Pay attention to that difference. One keeps you intact. The other erodes you quietly. You may also feel an increased sensitivity to internal dissonance. Things you once tolerated emotionally now feel heavy faster. That's not fragility. That's calibration. When alignment sharpens, deviation registers sooner. This isn't meant to make you rigid. It's meant to keep you honest with yourself before compromise turns into habit. Nothing is asking you to withdraw from the world. You're being asked to engage it without contamination, to participate without absorption, to move through complexity without letting it rewrite you. That requires awareness, not withdrawal, presence, not performance. You don't need to announce restraint. You only need to practice it consistently. Some of the restraint will feel unfair. You'll see others benefit from shortcuts you refuse to take. That comparison is a trap. Their outcomes are visible. Their costs are delayed. Yours are inverted. You pay early by choosing difficulty now and stability later. Most people do the opposite. That's why their progress collapses under pressure you already survived. You're not being trained to dominate or escape. You're being trained to remain intact while participating fully. That balance is rare. Most either harden into self-protection or dissolve into accommodation. Integrity sits between those extremes. It allows strength without cruelty and compassion without erosion. You don't need to watch yourself obsessively. That creates tension. Just notice where you start bargaining internally, where you feel the urge to become less precise because it's tiring. That's not failure. That's the edge. Every time you choose alignment at that edge, you reinforce the posture that was recognized in the first place. Nothing dramatic will mark these moments. No confirmation will arrive immediately. That's intentional. Integrity that depends on reinforcement isn't integrity, it's performance. What matters here is who you are when no response follows your restraint, when nothing visibly improves, when you still choose correctly because it's correct, not because it pays. This is the phase where your attitude stops being reactive and becomes generative. It no longer just resists corruption. It begins shaping environments subtly. People feel steadier around you. Situations resolve without escalation. Tension dissipates without confrontation. You won't be credited for this. That's fine. Credit would interfere with function. You are not recognized to be elevated above others. You are recognized because you could be trusted with influence without being distorted by it. Influence that doesn't announce itself. Influence that doesn't seek acknowledgement. Influence that operates through example rather than instruction. That kind of influence only works when the source remains intact. This is why maintaining posture matters more now than ever. Not because you're being watched constantly, but because integrity compounds quietly. Each aligned decision strengthens the next one. Each compromise weakens future resistance. Momentum exists internally, long before it shows externally. You don't need to force growth. You need to prevent erosion. Growth will follow naturally. The more intact you remain, the more complex situations you'll be able to navigate without losing orientation. Complexity isn't danger for someone with stable posture. It's just terrain. This phase will continue until consistency becomes automatic again, but at a higher level. Until alignment is no longer effortful. Until restraint feels natural rather than heroic. That's when the next shift begins. Not announced, not dramatic, but unmistakable once you're inside it. For now, remain precise. Remain grounded. Remain honest with yourself when no one else is present. That's all that's required. What reacted once continues to respond to consistency, not declarations. And consistency is something only you can maintain, moment by moment, without witness. You will find yourself less willing to explain. Not because you lack words, but because you recognize when explanation would only dilute truth. There is a difference between communication and justification. Communication invites understanding. Justification seeks permission. You are slowly being trained out of the need for permission. That doesn't make you uncooperative. It makes you internally sovereign, and sovereignty begins quietly, long before anyone labels it. This can feel isolating if you misinterpret it. It's not that you're being pulled away from others. It's that you're no longer required to meet people where they are pretending to stand. You can meet them where they actually are, or not at all. That choice alone preserves immense internal energy. Most exhaustion comes not from effort, but from sustained misalignment. You may notice that when you do speak, it carries more weight. Not volume, weight. Words land differently. People pause, they reflect. Sometimes they resist without knowing why. That's because consistency gives language density. When words emerge from an intact posture, they don't need decoration. They don't need persuasion. They register as grounded, and grounded words disturb unstable narratives. Do not rush to use this. Influence that appears before discipline is complete, distorts the source. You are still refining, still calibrating, still learning how to remain unchanged internally, while circumstances evolve externally. That balance takes time. Anyone who tries to accelerate it prematurely fractures under attention. Attention itself may increase subtly. Not praise, interest, people watching without engagement, observing your reactions, measuring your steadiness. This is not paranoia, it's consequence. Stability draws scrutiny the same way instability draws chaos. Neither is personal, both are mechanical. How you respond to this attention matters. Curiosity should not turn into performance. Awareness should not become self-consciousness. The goal is not to become untouchable. It is to become unmovable. Untouchable creates distance. Unmovable creates trust. Others begin to rely on your presence even if they don't articulate it. Situations feel less volatile when you're involved. Not because you control outcomes, but because you don't amplify distortion. That restraint is rare. That's why it was noticed. You may also encounter moments where maintaining posture costs you something tangible. Opportunities that would advance you quickly, but require subtle compromise. Relationships that promise comfort, but demand you soften your boundaries. Recognition that comes with strings attached. These are not punishments, they are confirmations. Each refusal strengthens the internal signal that was already identified. It's important not to romanticize this. There is no reward for unnecessary suffering. Discernment includes knowing when to act and when to withdraw. Integrity does not mean endurance at all costs. It means choosing cost consciously. Some battles are not worth engaging because they don't threaten posture, they distract from it. As you refine this, you'll notice a shift in how you experience time. Urgency decreases, not because nothing matters, but because panic is no longer driving decisions. You begin operating from sequence instead of reaction, one step leading naturally to the next. This creates momentum without force. Most people mistake force for progress. It isn't. Alignment moves faster over distance. There will be moments where you question whether any of this is real or meaningful. That doubt is not regression, it's grounding. It prevents inflation. It keeps posture human. Certainty that cannot be questioned becomes brittle. Integrity that allows doubt but doesn't surrender to it remains flexible and strong. Do not look for signs. Signs create dependency. Look for stability, for the quiet ability to choose correctly without needing reinforcement, for the absence of internal chaos even when external conditions fluctuate. That is the true indicator that what was recognized remains intact. This is also where responsibility becomes clearer. Not responsibility to save, fix, or correct others. Responsibility to remain accurate, to not distort truth for convenience, to not abandon restraint for validation. Others will take cues from you unconsciously. That's unavoidable. The only ethical requirement is not to mislead them by becoming something you're not. You don't need to announce purpose. Purpose reveals itself through sustained posture over time. People confuse declaration with direction. Direction is internal, declaration is noise. What reacted to you responds to direction, not noise. As this half concludes, understand this. Nothing new is being demanded of you. Nothing additional is required. The same attitude that carried you through pressure before is sufficient now. The difference is awareness. You know it matters. And knowing that introduces a new test, not of strength, but of humility. Can you maintain integrity without turning it into identity theater? Can you remain intact without needing to feel special? If you can, the posture stabilizes at a deeper level. Effort reduces, precision increases, and the next phase unfolds without resistance. What happens next is not expansion outward. It is consolidation inward. This is where most people misunderstand divine response. They expect elevation, visibility, confirmation through external reward. That is not how recognition of this magnitude functions. When an attitude reaches the level where it provokes reaction beyond the human plane, the priority becomes preservation, not display. What you carry is not meant to be exposed prematurely, because exposure invites distortion. This is why humility becomes the final filter. Not false humility, not self-denial, but restraint from turning integrity into performance. Because the moment integrity becomes identity theater, it stops being integrity. It becomes currency. And what was once pure becomes transactional. That is the one corruption you are now protected from externally, but must guard against internally. You are not being asked to shrink. You are being asked to remain accurate. There is a difference. Shrinking denies truth. Accuracy maintains it without exaggeration. The attitude that triggered reaction did not need announcement. It did not require recognition. It existed quietly, consistently, when no one was keeping score. That is why it carried weight. And that is why the next phase requires you to resist the temptation to own it. The paradox is this: the more you understand what your attitude has done, the less you should reference it. Awareness is not permission to claim status. It is responsibility to remain clean. Because now the cost of distortion is higher. Not because punishment awaits, but because alignment has momentum, and momentum amplifies deviation as easily as it amplifies precision. This is why silence from opposition mattered so much. Not as validation, but as confirmation of structural integrity. When nothing can legitimately attach to you, nothing can leverage you. That condition does not mean you are untouchable in a dramatic sense. It means manipulation loses efficiency, pressure loses leverage, accusation loses traction, and that shifts how influence works around you. Influence is now indirect. You will notice that outcomes begin adjusting without confrontation. Situations resolve before escalation. Conflicts reroute. People disengage without explanation. This is not avoidance, it is recalibration. When something cannot be bent, the environment bends instead. That's not power asserted, that's power recognized. At this stage, you may feel less emotionally reactive than before. Not numb, just less pulled. Emotional hooks that once caught your attention now pass through without anchoring. This is not detachment from life. It is detachment from distortion. You still care, You just no longer bleed unnecessarily. That shift alone changes everything. You may also notice a reduced desire to defend yourself. Misunderstandings don't provoke the same urgency. False assumptions lose their sting. This is not because truth doesn't matter. It's because your orientation is no longer dependent on correction. When posture is intact, misunderstanding cannot dismantle it, and spending energy correcting every misread becomes inefficient. This is where many people mistakenly believe they are losing passion. They are not. They are losing compulsion. Passion, rooted in reaction, burns out. Purpose, rooted in alignment, stabilizes. What remains is quieter, but far more durable. It doesn't surge, it persists. And persistence is what reshapes trajectories over time. Now understand something critical. The reaction described earlier was not emotional. It was structural. It marked a threshold. Once crossed, certain reversals become difficult, not impossible, but costly. That's why the focus now is on maintenance, not acceleration. You don't push this forward. You allow it to settle. Settling does not mean stagnation. It means integration. The attitude that once had to be consciously chosen under pressure now begins operating subconsciously again, but at a higher resolution. You don't deliberate as much. You don't negotiate internally as often. Choices align faster. Friction reduces. This is where life begins to feel deceptively simple. Not easy, simple. Complexity remains, but it no longer overwhelms you. You move through it without fragmentation. You don't have to split yourself to survive situations. And that wholeness is what keeps influence clean. Be careful here. Simplicity is often mistaken for lack of ambition. Others may project that onto you. Let them. Ambition that needs validation is fragile. Direction that doesn't announce itself is resilient. You are not here to convince. You are here to remain correct. You may feel drawn away from extremes. Excessive intensity, excessive emotion, excessive certainty. Those states are unstable. They burn quickly. Precision lasts longer. The posture you are stabilizing into does not require intensity to function. It requires accuracy. Accuracy in speech, accuracy in action, accuracy in restraint. This is why timing becomes important now. Acting too early introduces distortion. Acting too late introduces stagnation. You'll notice your internal sense of timing sharpen. Moves feel obvious when they arrive, forced when they don't. Trust that. It's part of the recalibration. You're also learning something subtle about strength. Strength does not announce itself. It does not threaten. It does not posture. It occupies space naturally. When strength is real, it does not need reinforcement. And when others sense it, they adjust without instruction. This is why some people will drift away quietly. They are not being rejected, they are being released. Alignment cannot be maintained through obligation, only through resonance, and resonance cannot be forced. As this continues, you may realize that the greatest test is not adversity, but comfort. Comfort invites forgetfulness. It tempts you to loosen internal standards because nothing seems at stake. But something always is, not outcome. Orientation. Remember this clearly. What reacted to your attitude did so because it endured without incentive. If incentive becomes the reason it continues, the signal weakens, not immediately, gradually, quietly, until one day it's gone, and you can't explain why things feel heavier again. That is why humility matters now more than ever. Not submission, accuracy. The humility to know that what you carry does not belong to ego. It belongs to responsibility. And responsibility is quiet work. You're not required to teach, announce, or lead overtly. Those roles emerge naturally when needed. For now, your role is simpler and harder. Remain intact without making a story out of it. This is how the posture stabilizes permanently, not through declaration, but through continued correctness when nothing dramatic is happening. And when that posture stabilizes, the response that once reacted continues to react. But not as before. It is no longer astonishment at a rare act of consistency. It becomes acknowledgement of an ongoing truth that cannot be ignored. God's scream was not a one-time resonance. It was a declaration of structural recognition. And that declaration continues to echo, shaping forces you cannot see. Forces you don't need to see. Forces that respond automatically to integrity maintained under pressure. This is why Lucifer's silence mattered more than anyone could have imagined. Silence is not passive. It is active recalibration. The accuser who never stops cannot function when there is nothing to dispute. That vacuum is power, and it is invisible to those who search only for dramatic signs. Every subtle movement of your attitude now carries weight, precisely because no opposition can attach itself. Every unreacted attempt to provoke, deceive, or corrupt you bounces off a truth that is structurally unassailable. And here is the nuance. This does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges will persist. Pressure will continue. People will still attempt manipulation. Circumstances will still demand adaptability. But the internal architecture, the core posture that provoked the divine scream, remains unshakable. You are now operating from a space where external chaos cannot distort internal alignment. And that difference is everything. It is what separates ordinary persistence from extraordinary constancy. You may notice that opportunities arrive differently. They are not always obvious. They do not always arrive with fanfare. What you are experiencing now is synchronicity of action with reality. Not magic, not luck, not intervention, but alignment. Doors that once seemed closed swing open silently. Paths that once required force become effortless. People who once seemed obstructive become cooperative without explanation. This is not coincidence. This is consequence of an attitude that carries weight in dimensions most people cannot perceive. Pay attention to the subtle shifts in energy around you. Those who were previously aggressive, confrontational, or manipulative may begin to pause. Not because they recognize you consciously, but because the energetic resonance of your posture communicates integrity that cannot be challenged. And when integrity communicates without words, it disrupts narratives, fractures hidden agendas, and neutralizes covert attacks. You are no longer responding to the world reactively. The world is responding to you naturally. It is at this stage that the greatest temptations arise. The temptation to take credit, to flaunt, to wield influence consciously instead of allowing it to function organically. That is the true danger. You are now visible to forces that rut integrity like a map. If you convert that integrity into ego performance, you fracture the source of the influence. The scream that once resonated is no longer activated by constancy. It is silenced by spectacle. Do not make this mistake. Instead, embrace invisibility within action. Let your correctness operate quietly. Let your decisions carry weight without explanation. Let your restraint demonstrate what words cannot. And watch as subtle transformations begin to occur, not in headlines, not in applause, but in alignment of circumstance, people, and outcomes that were previously impossible to engineer. This is the ultimate reward of a pure attitude: influence without effort, authority without announcement, and protection without awareness. Protection now functions differently. Not only are overt attacks neutralized, but covert forces, the hidden agendas, the envy, the unseen interference fail to interact with you effectively. You may notice events that would have previously derailed progress resolve themselves. People who once sought to manipulate, sabotage, or disrupt find themselves blocked, redirected, or neutralized in ways that appear accidental but are structurally inevitable. That is the operational consequence of divine attention intersecting with unshakable posture. And now, we arrive at a point that most will misunderstand: responsibility. This level of recognition carries inherent responsibility, not to perform, not to impress, not to dominate, but to remain unbroken. Every choice you make, every decision to act or refrain, now has amplified consequences. Because what was once a quiet attitude, influencing unseen dimensions, now functions as a catalyst. Your constancy is no longer just personal. It is infrastructural. It is a template for integrity that others unconsciously calibrate against. This is where humility becomes critical again. You are not permitted to assume greatness. You are permitted to maintain alignment. Recognition, influence, and response are consequences, not entitlements. The divine scream and Luciferian silence were acknowledgments of your structural integrity, not trophies to display. To treat them as trophies diminishes their function. To remain aligned in the absence of recognition preserves the mechanism that provokes extraordinary reaction. Now consider this: when others attempt manipulation, pressure, or coercion, they do so against a posture that has been validated in dimensions beyond human perception. Their efforts cannot succeed because they are working against a template of constancy that is irreducible. Every attempt to provoke, corrupt, or distract you now serves to reinforce the integrity you already hold, provided you do not react unnecessarily. That is how immunity functions at this level. It is not force. It is absence of vulnerability. You will notice patterns forming around you. Situations resolve themselves before escalation. Conversations proceed with clarity, even when complexity exists. Obstacles appear, but disappear quietly. This is not luck. It is a structural response. The universe responds to posture, not to drama. This is the secret behind the divine scream: recognition of a consistent attitude, not of isolated acts. The signal is embedded in you. The response is embedded in everything else. It is here that subtle miracles emerge. Not always obvious, not always spectacular. Opportunities arrive just as needed. Relationships adjust to align with your integrity. Misunderstandings that could have derailed growth correct themselves. Your physical, mental, and emotional states begin to stabilize in ways that cannot be explained through conventional reasoning. And this is deliberate, not random. Divine attention operates directly through alignment, not spectacle. You may also experience moments of isolation. Others cannot match this constancy, and some may be unwilling to confront it. That is not punishment. It is natural separation. Energy now flows to what is coherent, aligned, and consistent. Those who are fragmented or reactive will be drawn to distractions elsewhere. This is part of the recalibration. The field is purging inefficiency, conserving integrity. Your attitude maintains the signal. The environment adjusts accordingly. Notice, too, how subtle influence now manifests in the people around you. Their words, reactions, and choices shift unconsciously in response to your posture. Not because you demand it, not because you instruct it, but because the structure you maintain is coherent. Coherence commands compliance without coercion. Stability inspires imitation without conscious thought. This is the power that previously provoked silence from Lucifer. Structural impossibility of misalignment. And in that silence, you will find freedom. Freedom from judgment. Because the eternal accuser cannot attach to what cannot be disputed. Freedom from distraction, because the world aligns unconsciously with correctness. Freedom from chaos, because the internal template of integrity imposes order without force. That is why posture matters more than action. That is why consistency outweighs heroism. That is why your attitude made God scream. At this stage, reflection becomes unnecessary in most cases. You operate from a foundation that is validated internally and externally. Feedback is absorbed without destabilization. Situations correct themselves. Conflicts are neutralized before they reach you. Opportunities arrive aligned with integrity. Energy that would have been spent defending, explaining, or persuading now flows toward creation, refinement, and expansion within boundaries. The final nuance to understand is the continuity of this process. It does not end with recognition. It does not pause for comfort. The divine scream and accuser's silence are not endpoints. They are validation of mechanism. They mark the establishment of a posture that, if maintained, generates ongoing consequence across dimensions. Every choice, every action, every non-action now reverberates with amplified significance. And so the work continues. Not in drama, not in visibility, not in applause, but in quiet, sustained constancy. The recognition you carry is not for ego. It is for alignment. It is for the effect your posture has on everything around you. It is for the subtle recalibration of unseen forces, for the ongoing reflection of integrity into dimensions that humans cannot measure.